Hello and welcome to Science and Engineering, the Guide. I'm Siddharth.
I'm Pratham.
I'm Sisha.
And I'm Jay.
Throughout this video, we'll be referring to the Science and Engineering Club as SIGN. It's a term that we developed, and I think it will be useful for you to use this term in the future instead of saying science and engineering multiple times. Trust me, it gets tiring.
Science is a wonderful experience in any young mind's life because of how much knowledge they gain from the various dimensions of creating a project from start to finish. A thumb rule of all science projects is that they'll never progress in a straight line. Not everything will go to plan, and it's important to recognize that this is not a failure, but rather an opportunity to expand the circle of topics which your project will cover. A lot of this comes from the background research which you'll complete about your topic initially, but also about topics that come up along the way. Through this, your knowledge on topics in science that are both related directly and indirectly to your project will increase exponentially. Pratham will now continue on how this knowledge is enriched by a network of individuals.
SIGN is a very prosperous place to be in. For me personally, SIGN was a place in which I made friends and felt like I was in a community. After moving here to the state, school, people, and everything were all new to me and I fit in nowhere. SIGN let me fit in because of my hunger for knowledge, but also my need for friends. This club allowed me to build relationships with teachers, peers, researchers, and many more people. While one benefit of SIGN is its sense of community, it is also an enjoyable place to learn how to socialize in the real world. Jay will continue to speak about this aspect of science.
To continue on what Pratham was saying, competitors will move on to competitions in which they are judged on their project by how well it has been thought out and on the presentation of the project. Developing your people skills will be a key aspect to performing well in the competition because the judges will look at every aspect of your project, including your speech. Throughout the SIGN learning process, you will learn to navigate through the judge's difficult questions, talk fluently, and the proper etiquette during the scientific presentation. Siddharth will move on to the benefits of scientific research.
So now on to the benefits of scientific research. Scientific research is constantly helping the world to improve its technologies and make it a better place by making things more environmentally friendly and efficient. The world is on fire, people are starving, and soon will become a multi-planet species. Humanity's future generations are our only hope to solve these problems, and you're those future generations. We need you to help us solve the world's problems, and this club is a start to this process. Pratham will now explain how science engineering can help your future.
As Siddharth said, this club is a start to becoming your greatest self. I can't emphasize enough how important the next generation of scientists are and the effect you will have on our world. You will be able to carry the skills and knowledge into high school, college, your career, and beyond. Seashell will now move on to how the competitions will be set up, and I want to say on behalf of us all how proud we are for you to take this first step.
So we are in the state of North Carolina, so we're going to speak to the competitions that are present here. So we're going to be covering two major competitions, which are North Carolina Science and Engineering Fair, as well as the North Carolina Student Academy of Sciences competitions. The North Carolina Science and Engineering Fair competition is one that generally requires a trifold presentation of your project and the findings that ensue. And while North Carolina Student Academy of Science requires a PowerPoint presentation of your project and findings, both of these will roughly be the same information from the same project that you did throughout the year. So through these competitions, students will have the opportunity to showcase their research to experts within their field of interest, who will be their judges. They can also win special awards from various agencies. Projects deemed worthy will even have a chance to participate at a national level Broadcom Masters competition. And this is a competition established by the Society for Science and the Public, which is an organization that has been running science fairs for over 100 years. Finally, ISEF is a top-level internationally accredited STEM science and engineering fair for middle and high school students. Participating at ISEF opens up opportunities for knowledge for any student who is dedicated to their craft. Siddharth will now continue on how to participate at these competitions.
Forms may seem like a small subject, but it really has a big effect on your project because that's what allows you to actually participate in competitions. In these competitions, certain forms are needed to be filled out. These will be filled out usually towards the end of your project, but before the competition. One of these forms will require the start date of your project and the actual experimentation start date. So keep this in mind, but it's always a good idea to date everything you have in your project. Your future self will greatly thank you.
So now I'm going to move on to the scientific method. The scientific method is a method in which scientists follow to answer these questions about the universe. So when they answer these questions, we can be certain of the truth that it holds. Scientists start by asking themselves a scientific question. Once that happens, they will develop a hypothesis on it, or in other words, an initial answer, and change that hypothesis until the scientific experiment they develop proves that certain hypothesis. This is just an overview of the scientific method, but there will be a future video going more in depth into this topic. Now we're going to move forward onto what the science project is supposed to look like.
So science and engineering has a professionally deemed structure. This means that we're going to implicate everything that professional scientists do in our process. And one of the ways that we do this is by following the scientific method. Like Pratham said, we will go into more detail about the specifics of this method in a future video. But overall, it's a tried and tested, logical, scientifically backed method of finding and answering questions that real scientists use all the time.
Our future videos will follow the following pattern. We introduce the topic, we show a detailed timeline of the specific topics, define the topic, go over specific individual subtopics, example or demonstrate the topic, and we mention the next topic. And the next topic is scientific method and experimental design.
If you have questions or comments, please leave them below, or you can email us at the email address listed on the screen. Thank you, everyone.